And welcome back to the morning show here. We have our special guest, Kathy Akers with Fathom Realty. And I keep wanting to say Fathom. It's Fathom. Can you fathom the idea? It's fathomless.
Good morning, Clint.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How about
see,
you?
You're also wearing a Carolina blue shirt. It's a great trend this morning.
It's not quite Carolina blue.
On TV, it looks great. I've been giving everybody grief for that this morning. So we're here to talk about real estate, and it's August. Can you believe it's August?
Oh my gosh, no.
We are almost 8.5 months into the year,
Wow.
which means we have. I was doing the math the other day. We have 21 Tuesdays left until Christmas.
Yeah, well, people are already posting how many weeks left till Christmas, and all of that. You're starting to see the little elf pieces in Facebook.
I saw a friend of ours on Facebook over the weekend is already preparing their Christmas decorations.
Oh,
They're
wow.
already, this is one of those folks that goes kind of all out. So he was working on his plans and his electrical grid.
Okay.
Now, when you have to have an electrical grid,
That's right. you got some work ahead of you. Well, it is August, and there's a lot happening right now. You talked about Football Friday, which means it's back to school.
Yeah, it is back to school.
Well, the other thing that we're going to talk about is we're in hurricane season.
Storm season in general.
Storm season,
It's been a rainy summer.
Yes, it has been, and we all know what happens when we get a lot of rain and then we do get a hurricane. We've seen that multiple times.
The ground gets soaked, the roots get a little loose, the wind comes around,
That's
and Bob's your uncle.
Right, and we our most activity for active storms is usually August, September, and October. So we're kind of doing an August checklist this morning. First, we're going to start with hurricane season. Things to think about around your house. And this piece is going to be for everybody, not just
so current homeowners, not new homeowners.
Right, current homeowners, not
necessarily selling their house or buying a house. This is just if you have a house, an apartment, or anything like that.
That's right.
Good information.
And we're going to cover the gamut there. But start looking at the house. We know limbs that are brushing the roof. You need to think about trimming those back because that can damage the roof.
Right.
Look at the trees. Are they still actively growing green, that kind of thing, or are you starting to see a lot of rotten wood? Are the branches breaking off readily in the little storms we've been having?
We're also, the king of long needle pine around here, and that stuff can pile up on your roof real bad.
That's right.
And that can do a lot of damage if you let it sit up there too long.
That's right. So those are some of the things to think about. Walking the perimeter of your house, look around the windows, making sure that it's sealed so that you don't have any cracks or not necessarily cracks, but you do have any place where water can intrude into the house.
Or bugs.
Or bugs, yes. But now's the time to kind of do that before the storm gets here because after the storm, it's kind of too late, especially if that tree comes down on your roof or you have a big branch that comes down out of a tree on your roof.
Oh, yeah.
And we talk about wind and, it's amazing what a little bit of wind can do with a branch. And
just last week we had that little kind of heavy rain and windstorm, and the roads were just littered with limbs and stuff. And imagine that stuff falling all over your house.
That's right. So those are some things to think about as far as getting ready for your home. But there's other things to think about. And sometimes if you can talk to your insurance person, they can give you a checklist. But let's talk about taking inventory. Because we know during a flood, we need to have an inventory. So it's not just your electronics, but other things of value. Because a lot of times those things aren't covered in your homeowner's insurance.
Unless you've itemized them.
Unless you've itemized them, or you have a separate policy to cover those extra items.
And I've said this for years, and it's far easier now than it was 10 years ago when I first said it. Take your cell phone, put it on video mode, and slowly walk around your house, cover all 4 walls, go to your jewelry box, go to your kitchen, go to your closet, and take video or photos of everything and document your stuff. Then you can itemize them. Be a lot easier. And you can upload it to the cloud or whatever.
That's right.
And then if something happens, you've got a list, and maybe it's not the most current list, but it's current enough.
That's right.
Do it at least once a year. At least once a year.
That's right. And itemizing. Make sure that you get those serial numbers. Those things are important, and we're going to come back to that in a minute.
Well, and I will tell you, I had a good friend of mine. I have a friend who's his best friend lives in Wake Forest. His house burned down. It was it was almost a $500,000 house. They lost everything.
Right.
They itemized their stuff. The insurance company is giving them more money than the house was worth because they had itemized all their stuff.
Right.
They went out and they bought the best big screen TVs and the best refrigerators and the best ovens and stuff for their new house they're building because their insurance was so well documented that they could do that.
Right.
That's why you get prepared.
And you might think it's something that, oh, well, you know, it's just one of those, you know, something every day. But you'd be surprised at if you had to start replacement costs on a lot of items. And, you know, we've had people that have had to do that, you know, between Floyd, Matthew, those types of things. Fire is another example. But making sure that you document those items, you know, it really helps you in the long run. It may take you a little bit of time.
It does.
But, you know, even, you know, to me, even if you had grandma's china, those are things you
or
don't...
antique furniture
antique
or something
furniture,
like
that kind of thing. Those are things that are irreplaceable. And if you don't have it documented, insurance company's not really going to see much.
And if you are in an area that does semi get prone to flood, make sure you have flood insurance, which can be expensive up front. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little high on the up front, but if you need it, you'll be glad you have it.
That's right. And a lot of times, and this goes to those new home buyers, if you're buying in a flood zone, sometimes
you can't even get flood insurance if you're in a flood zone. Yeah.
Right, sometimes, but check to see if the seller's coverage is transferable. I've actually had two recently that they were able to get the seller's insurance, flood insurance transferred, and it was a lot less for the new buyer.
I bet so, yeah.
And so, you know, now when they come back and revalue the property, you know, that might make a difference, but at the initial purchase of the house, they were able to take over the same insurance cost as the previous owner.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And again, that's kind of stuff that on the surface, I myself would never think about. That's why we have you around, because that's knowledge and experience you can't buy. That's what you get with good representation.
That's right. You know, those are things to think about. Now, we've kind of hit the house and the highlights. Renters, you know, some places do not require renter's insurance. Just remember that owner, whether it's an apartment or a house or whatever, that only covers their structure and their liability. It does not cover stuff. So, you know, you can get policies for as little as $10 a month. For renter's insurance.
And that'll give you like $100,000 for something like that.
It's amazing, you know. And again, document your items. You know, just because you say you have a flat screen TV. Oh yeah. You know, you got to be able to prove.
Just ask the folks over at Harbor West what they think about having renter's insurance, because they'll tell you real quick they need to have it.
That's right. And back to school. You know. Yes, which is what we're talking about.
Well, we had to buy for my daughter's dorm. And we looked at it, and we could, and this is the racket of college. It is such a racket. I know you know this because you've dealt with it. But, you know, we could have added it to our current homeowners insurance or just signed here to add it to the dorm rent. Right. And, of course, we paid a premium to add it to the dorm rent, but it was a no-brainer. They took care of it for us. Right. So she's covered, but I'm a little annoyed about how she's covered.
Right. But those are some things to think about. You know, in a dorm, you know, there's no coverage for the laptops and things that they are taking to college nowadays. So,
do you know how much these college laptops cost? $1,500 for a bloody laptop that I could go to Walmart and buy for $5.
Right. So those are the things to think about. Check, of course, if it can be covered under your homeowners, if you have homeowners insurance. If not, checking through the school or your insurance to take out a policy that covers their items. Again, document.
Right.
Because, you know, those laptops are very expensive, very hard to replace. Get them in the habit of backing up to a cloud.
Right.
Most of the colleges have free services such as that.
Yes, they do.
To back up and
Well, and most of them have
know-
iPhones and stuff anyway, so they can back it up to their iCloud and whatnot.
Right.
But it's not hard, but you as the parent need to instruct them to do it because they won't think about it.
right. And you know, have a copy for them to keep of the information, but also make sure you have a copy of it
Right.
in case something happens. So
Because
that
if something happens, they're going to call you and say, what do I do?
What do I do? Right. So those are some of the things to think about. Renter's insurance is always a big thing. To me, regardless of whether it's a dorm, whether it's an apartment or a house, that type of thing, just remember, because first year of college, most of the new students are going to be in the dorms. Then they're going to start looking at apartments. The big thing to remember there is just because your child has a renter's policy, it only covers their items.
Right.
So you want to make sure that your roommate or roommates also have
Right.
renter's insurance. A lot of the big apartment complexes around colleges require it.
Yeah.
But if you're renting from
Well, there's a lot of
somebody that has
Well,
one
there's
or two
houses.
houses.
So there's, the students. I did it in Greenville. I know you can do it in Chapel Hill and other places around Raleigh where you have a older house that 4 students go share the rent on at
That's
$400
right.
a pop, and you're like, oh, $400 a month for 4 people is not that bad until you
All right, right. So think about
get that insurance.
Get that because you may know your best friend that you're rooming with, but you may not know their friend that's
Right.
coming over to study.
Oh, and that without a doubt, the damage that can get done from impromptu gatherings, let's call them a party, from that to, and I went to one, and this was in college, and this happened to me. I came home from a day of classes, and there was 12 people in my room having a prayer circle,
Right.
which you would be like, well, that's a nice, neat thing, but they actually damaged some of my stuff in my
Right.
room. Which,
Oh, yeah.
they didn't care. It wasn't their room.
That's right. That's right. And I had that when I was in college. That it just happens, and
Yep.
so think about those things. And like we said, documentation is your best friend.
Yep.
So those are some of the things to think about. If you have any questions, by all means, talk to your insurance agent. If you're like, well, I don't have a house or whatever.
Right.
If you've got a car, you've got insurance. And any of our local agents or even the online services that are out there, they'll be glad to talk with you about giving you a list of what to itemize,
Right.
as well as renter's insurance, flood insurance, and those types of things. So use resources that we have available. I'll be glad to help you find someone that can help you.
Well, I was going to get ready to literally ask you that question. So not just on the insurance side, but some people, they think that they can do all the things around their house. They can
Right.
maintain their house, they can sweep the roof, they can clean the gutters, and there's still lots of folks with old school gutters out there.
Right.
If somebody is looking for somebody, they're afraid to deal with the public.
Right.
Because you don't know which of these guys knocking on your door you can trust or not. You see some of these stories on the other news channels about these guys ripping people off,
Right.
and it makes people shy. Yet their house is literally rotting to some degree. Can you make some solid recommendations for some people to
I
help
do.
service their house, whether it's to clean the roofs, whether it's to clean the insides, those types of things?
That's right.
So how can they get in touch with you?
Always give me a call, 252-266-4038. And I do have a trusted vendors list, and we make sure that there's someone that's going to be able to answer the call and willing to help
Right.
you with those things.
And you wouldn't make that referral if it didn't work out, because it's
That's
going to look
right.
bad on you if it doesn't
That's
happen.
right.
So.
They don't stay on my list long if they're not going to return phone calls or they're not going to do the right job.
And again, in this day and age, and we've had a lot of storms lately and some damage, and as we're getting into September, October with those hurricanes, there are those who take advantage of people who may
Right.
be in a stressed out situation because of damage. Call somebody like Kathy and let them kind of walk you through it, because you want to get good, reputable people, especially those who are insured and bonded, where you can.
Right. That's very,
Very
very true
important.
and very important.
So, well, Kathy, we appreciate you coming on today. Again, Fathom in Realty,
Yes.
not new to the area, but newer, and certainly the strongest agent now is Kathy Akers.
Well, thank you. Not true, but
Yes, it
it's
is.
always nice to hear.
And we appreciate you coming on and sharing your tips with us. And again, one more time, if somebody wants to reach you, whether they're looking to buy, sell, or just get some information on maintaining their dwelling, how can they reach you again?
252-266-4038.
All right, we appreciate you, and we'll be right back with the Weather Master himself, Fred Holdsworth.